Stop treating roster competition like harmless July conversation. What is happening in Foxborough has consequences. A receiver surrounded by trade rumors is making the doubt look foolish. A rookie is rising at a position that needed depth. One overlooked roster spot could uncover another weapon, while a former investment is in real danger of disappearing. Nobody gets protected by a name, a contract, or draft status. Produce or make room. Hit like and subscribe because today we are coming hard at who has answered the challenge and who needs to wake up before this season leaves them behind. We start with the player plenty of people had already shipped out in a trade, Kayshon Boutte. While outside noise tried to decide where he would end up, Boutte attacked the only part of this story he can control. He made the biggest play of the day in each of the first 3 competitive practices. On Tuesday, he burned the secondary for a 40-yard touchdown, adjusting to a back shoulder ball and beating all-pro safety Kevin Byard. That does not look like a distracted player. It looks like a man determined to make any trade conversation uncomfortable for the Patriots themselves. Good. New England brought in A.J. Brown and Romeo Doubs because the receiver room needed more muscle, more options, and less dependence on one vertical threat. But upgrading a room should never mean handing out jobs based on reputation. Boutte answered the competition like a pro. Mike Vrabel praised his communication with Todd Downing, his off-season work, and how he keeps outside noise from hurting his performance. Kyle Williams called his teammate unbelievable. Drake May was even more direct, pointing out that Boutte keeps doing things the right way and knows the ball could come his direction whenever he gets a shot down the sideline. That trust was not built in 4 practices. In 2025, Boutte caught 42 passes for 719 yards and 7 touchdowns across 18 games. He did not dominate every week, but he brought a downfield element nobody else on the roster could duplicate. Now Brown, Doubs, Demario Douglas, Mac Hollins, Efton Chisholm, and Williams are all fighting for space, and Boutte's response is becoming more valuable by the day. The supposed odd man out is forcing the coaching staff to reconsider who can actually be sacrificed. If a strong offer arrived, the front office would probably listen. New England showed that willingness around the draft, but nothing concrete developed. Right now, trading Boutte for a weak return would reward somebody else and take a weapon away from May. The Patriots cannot act like offensive depth is some annoying surplus. Ambitious offenses keep players who can change the field, especially when those players get better under pressure. Boutte is not asking for sympathy. He is building leverage with touchdowns. Every ball he brings down raises the heat on the players who arrived ready to push him out. That competition has reached another room that looked dangerously thin on paper. The Patriots entered camp leaning heavily on Hunter Henry, a risky way to survive a full season. Julian Hill landed on season-ending injured reserve, opening a door somebody had to attack. Eli Raridon did not stand around admiring the opportunity. The third-round rookie climbed from the bottom of the spring depth chart and has started to look like the real number 2 option at tight end. Raridon caught 3 passes during team drills on Tuesday. On one of them, working with the second unit, he elevated over safety Del Pettis to grab a Tommy DeVito pass on a crossing route. The key detail goes beyond one impressive catch. He has collected reps with the starters and worked in packages featuring 1 and 2 tight ends. The staff is not simply kicking the tires on a developmental project. They are preparing a role that could survive final cuts and matter on Sundays. Mike Vrabel described Raridon as a capable and willing learner, then delivered the challenge that separates praise from trust. The pads change everything. Vrabel wants young players moving faster, almost to the edge of losing control, so the staff can clean up the details afterward. There is a hard football truth there. Knowing your assignment means little if you cannot execute at NFL speed. Raridon has to prove this rise can continue once linebackers and defensive backs attack his space with real contact. His profile gives New England every reason to demand that jump. In his final season at Notre Dame, he caught 32 passes for 482 yards. His frame can become a weapon in the red zone, and he offers value as a blocker. Hunter Henry, the clear lead option in this room, is also the right veteran to accelerate that development. Raridon said after the draft that he was excited to learn from Henry. Now that relationship has to turn into production. Carrying 7 tight ends does not mean the offense has 7 playable answers. At this point, Henry and Raridon are the 2 with the clearest paths to meaningful snaps. That is where the impact reaches Drake May. If Raridon can fill an Austin Hooper-type role, Josh McDaniels gains the freedom to move between 11 and 12 personnel without announcing what the offense plans to do. A rookie who blocks with force and threatens the middle of the field keeps a defense from reacting automatically to the formation. 4 practices without full pads cannot guarantee that outcome. They can give us a signal worth raising the standard for. The Patriots may have found value in a spot that looked vulnerable. Raridon now has to prove that value holds up when camp turns violent. Not every battle comes with highlight catches or public praise. The fight for the third running back job lives in smaller snaps, pass protection, and special teams. After releasing Antonio Gibson in the spring, New England needs somebody who can spell Trevion Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson without telling the defense that the offense just dropped a level. Terrell Jennings already has some experience, and 7th-round rookie Jam Miller has entered the picture. Even so, Larison owns a combination of skills that could pull him clear of the group. Larison entered the league as an undrafted free agent in 2025, so nobody should hand him a job because his projection sounds appealing. The argument starts with fit. He has a compact build that can survive between the tackles, real receiving ability, and experience returning kicks. In his final season at UC Davis, he led the team with 62 catches and 847 receiving yards while adding 6 touchdowns through the air. Across his time with the Aggies, he returned 49 kickoffs. In 2021 and 2022, he handled 43 of them for 1,186 yards, averaging 26.2 yards per return. That package explains why Gibson remained useful without controlling the rushing workload. An RB3 has to survive in different situations. He has to protect the quarterback, provide a short outlet, contribute on special teams, and handle carries without forcing the offense to rewrite its plan. Larison offers those tools. Offering them is not the same as winning the job. Camp has to show whether he can identify pressure quickly, protect the football through contact, and stay efficient against stronger defenders. The Rex Burkhead comparison is tempting because it describes the role, not because Larison has earned that level of impact. If his college versatility turns into professional trust, he could become the quiet, functional surprise on this roster. The player who barely owns a headline but prevents one injury or one third down from breaking the offense's rhythm. It is a realistic possibility inside an open competition. That is precisely why Jennings and Miller have to answer now. When one job demands this many assignments, the most complete candidate forces everybody else to chase him. That chase has become brutal for Kyle Williams. 1 year after New England selected him in the 3rd round, the receiver reportedly worked as the WR7 during a camp practice, according to the Boston Herald. There is no honest way to dress up that position on the depth chart. Teams do not normally carry 7 wide receivers after the preseason. If this current picture holds, Williams will not be fighting for playing time. He will be fighting to avoid becoming the name sacrificed when the numbers get tight. The context explains the fall, but it does not give him shelter. A.J. Brown and Romeo Doubs arrive to command major roles. Kayshon Boutte remains in Foxborough and is setting practices on fire. Demario Douglas brings explosion from the slot, while Mac Hollins offers experience and utility. The signal that should really bother Williams is Efton Chisholm III apparently moving ahead of him. Getting passed by a second-year undrafted player when you carry 3rd-round investment is not some harmless administrative detail. It is an alarm about development. Williams appeared in all 17 games as a rookie, but caught only 10 passes for 209 yards and 3 touchdowns. Those touchdowns show the ability to create big plays. The limited volume shows he still has not earned enough trust to become a steady presence. Waiting for his draft status to protect him would be the worst possible response. He needs to stack separation, command of the system, reliable hands, and special teams value. One explosive catch can grab attention. A run of complete practices changes the hierarchy. This is where the story circles back to Boutte. One receiver faced trade rumors and answered by beating Kevin Byard downfield. Another entered camp with a chance to establish himself in year 2 and slipped toward the edge of the roster. This is the kind of competition Vrabel should want. Ruthless, transparent, and controlled by production. It is also the environment that exposes character. Williams can still respond. Camp is not over, and the preseason remains ahead. The clock will not negotiate with him. Read the Foxborough board with me. What evidence would restore your confidence in Williams? Control during practice, preseason impact, or value on special teams? My standard starts with consistency. New England cannot keep a player just to preserve the appearance that a draft pick worked out. It also should not abandon young talent before testing it under maximum pressure. Williams has received the hardest warning possible without being cut. His answer now has to show up on the field, not on his resume. This camp has already separated talk from response. Boutte answered trade noise by attacking the football. Raridon turned an absence into opportunity. Larison has the tools to steal a role that looked wide open. Williams learned that draft capital cannot buy endless patience. This is how a roster becomes dangerous again. Nobody settles in. Nobody gets immunity. Every rep pushes another decision. Give me your intensity rating from 0 to 10. Drop that number in the comments, hit like, and subscribe to Patriots Club Fans. In Foxborough, pressure does not destroy the players who are ready. It reveals who deserves to stay when the season gets tight.